everybody. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about space invaders. Well, they're not coming from space, but they're invading our space and different spaces. These are invasive species, plants and animals that have come from other places because they were either brought here accidentally or some of them were brought here actually on purpose. So today I want to show you some of them, and then you can do a little research about some others. One that we're going to take a look at right now is right here in Mississauga. We have a lot of invasive species. Now these aren't supposed to be here, so what happens is they take over ecosystems and they change ecosystems. A big one of concern in Mississauga is one called wild parsnip. Now this is spring, so you can see this is just the dead wild parsnip from last fall. But soon it's going to start growing up again. It is hard to control. A lot of invasive species are so widespread because they don't have any predators. Nothing eats them. Some of them are also a big concern because they could be dangerous to us. Wild parsnip is a good example. It is extremely poisonous to our skin. If you get this flower on your skin, then what can happen actually is you will break out in a horrible rash, kind of like poison ivy, but worse than poison ivy, because you know what? It can come back for a number of years. That it is actually what we call photosensitive or photo-triggered, that the sun or the light can actually cause it to come back and get this horrible, terrible rash that's like poison ivy, and it'll just make yourself, ugh, it's horrible, horrible stuff. Don't walk in it. So watch out for these signs. They're all around Mississauga. I'll find you a picture so that you can actually see what wild parsnip looks like in the flesh. In Lake Ontario, we also have a lot of fish that are invasive. We have something called the round goby, which is a small fish that if you talk to any people that like to go fishing, they'll tell you how much they hate the round goby because they eat everything, especially the fish that people want to catch. Also in here we have something called the lamprey eel. Now the lamprey eel is not an eel, it's actually a fish, but it has a round sucker-like mouth, which is really kind of nasty, that'll stick onto fish, not so much human beings. We don't taste very good to them, they don't like us, they'll try and then they'll spit us out. But they're these long fish-like eel things, and they will stick to fish like our salmon population and essentially suck the life out of them. Not very nice. The salmon, they get behind the fins, and our salmon population took a huge dive bomb because of the lamprey eel. Fortunately, we've been trying to increase our salmon stocks, and they've been somewhat successful. In Port Credit here, we actually have a fish farm where they're not farm, but a hatchery where they're actually trying to raise more salmon. And there's a lot of efforts to try to curb that lamprey eel. So just a few examples of invasive species. I'm going to take you to a few other spots and show you a few more. Another invasive species that is a huge problem all throughout Canada and North America is something called garlic mustard. Now, it's called garlic mustard because it actually smells and tastes a little bit like garlic mustard. Now this, as you can see, is crazy widespread. It's the stuff with the little white flowers. This is second year growth. In its first year, it doesn't flower. That's when it's really good to pick it out. And I'll show you some of my garden a little bit later. But then it's easy to pick out because it's just little leaves coming up. And a lot of you will find this if you have a garden in your garden. Get it in its first year because it's in its second year. Whoa, it goes like this. And each of these flowers gives off millions of little seeds, and it'll spread like crazy. Now it was brought over initially because it's like an herb. You can actually eat it. It's called garlic mustard because it's a lot like garlic mustard. And if you taste it, it's rather tasty. You can put it in your salads, kind of yummy, which is the reason people brought it over from Europe, because they wanted to eat it. Sadly, it has no predators, it spreads like crazy, and the other problem it does, it actually changes the soil acidity. So in the soil, it will actually change things, so some plants don't do as well because it changes it up.